The alien city was alive with sound, glowing towers rising high into the strange skies, and the markets filled with creatures of every color and shape. Among them walked a single human, a man who did not belong to this world. His name was Daniel. And ever since he arrived, the aliens laughed at him. They called him weak, slow, and unworthy to live among them. One day, in the center of the market square, an alien girl stood before him. She was young, tall, and radiant, her eyes glowing with the strange light of her people. She was admired by many for her beauty and sharp tongue. She looked at Daniel with a smile that carried both charm and cruelty. "You chase dreams that do not belong to you," she said with laughter. "If you are so brave, find the rarest flower of this world. It is said to grow only in the Valley of Shadows, and no one has ever returned from there alive. If you bring it back, I will be yours, but I know you never will." The crowd roared with laughter. Her words cut into Daniel's pride like a blade. But he stood tall. He looked into her glowing eyes, not with anger, but with quiet strength. "If the flower exists, I will find it," he said firmly. The laughter grew louder, echoing in the alien streets. The girl covered her mouth, laughing harder, and shook her head. To her, the human was only making himself a fool. But inside Daniel's heart, a fire was born. He had been mocked since the day he arrived, but now he had a chance to prove them all wrong. He could show them that humans were not weak, not worthless, but strong in ways the aliens could not see. The alien girl turned her back to him, waving her hand as if to dismiss his words. "Go then, foolish human," she said. "The wilderness will eat you alive, and your bones will join the others who tried. Your story will end before it begins." Daniel clenched his fists, but remained calm. The people of the market whispered, some shaking their heads, others smirking at his courage. No one believed he would succeed, but his silence carried more weight than their laughter. That night, Daniel prepared for the journey. He had little more than a pack, a blade, and his determination. The alien city slept, unaware that the human they mocked was ready to step into a nightmare. The path to the Valley of Shadows was long and dangerous. The stories told of storms that tore flesh from bone, of beasts that stalked silently in the night, and of the cursed guardians that protected the rarest flower. The aliens said it was impossible, but Daniel did not turn back. The next morning, as the sun rose over the glowing spires, he walked to the city gates. The alien girl was there with her friends. She watched him with disbelief as he placed his hand on the iron gate. His eyes carried no fear, only resolve. "You will not return," she said with a smirk. Her words were sharp like blades, but Daniel only nodded. "Then wait and see," he replied. The gate opened and he stepped into the unknown. The crowd behind him whispered again, some laughing, some shaking their heads. None dared follow. But all would remember the sight of the human who walked toward death without hesitation. The alien girl stood longer than the rest, her smile fading for just a moment in her heart. She was sure he would not survive, but something about his calm voice unsettled her. She felt a small spark of doubt, a whisper that perhaps this human was not like the others. As Daniel vanished into the wilderness, the world around him changed. The air grew colder. The ground cracked under his boots, and strange shadows moved in the trees. Every step was heavy, but his will was stronger than his fear. The alien girl turned away at last, hiding her unease with laughter once more. To the people around her, it was only a game, but deep inside, she wondered what would happen if the human returned. Daniel walked on, the sky above painted with alien stars. Each breath reminded him that he was alone, but his heart carried a fire no storm could kill. The flower might be hidden in darkness, but he would chase it until the end. For he had been mocked, and now he had something to prove. Not just to the alien girl, not just to the city, but to himself. The adventure had begun, and there would be no turning back. The wilderness outside the alien city was unlike anything Daniel had ever seen. The roads ended quickly, and the smooth stone streets gave way to broken ground. Twisted roots and endless fog. The trees here were tall and glowing faintly, their branches stretching like claws across the dark sky. Every sound echoed in the stillness. Every movement felt like a warning. Daniel walked with steady steps, his pack light, but his heart heavy with the weight of the challenge. Behind him lay a city of laughter and doubt. Before him stretched a land of danger and silence. He reminded himself of the girl's mocking words, of her laughter as sharp as knives, and it gave him strength. He whispered to himself, "If the flower exists, I will bring it back." The path soon grew steep and rocky, forcing him to climb. Strange insects with glowing wings circled around him, buzzing in the air with an almost metallic hum. He swatted them away, but one landed on his arm. Its tiny legs burned his skin like fire. He gritted his teeth and scraped it off, leaving a mark that pulsed red. Already the land was trying to break him. As the hours passed, Daniel grew thirsty. The air was thick and heavy, filled with scents he could not name. He stopped by a stream that shone with blue light under the moon. The water looked pure, but when he tasted a drop, his throat burned, coughing hard. He spat it out, realizing the land itself was poison to outsiders. He would have to rely only on the supplies he carried. That night, Daniel built a small fire with broken branches. The flames gave a little warmth, but the smoke drifted strangely. As if the air itself did not want him there, shadows moved in the distance, large shapes with glowing eyes. He kept his blade close, his back against a stone wall. His heart pounded, but he refused to close his eyes fully. Sleep would mean death. In the city, the alien girl sat with her friends, still laughing about the human. She told them, "By now, the wilderness has swallowed him. He is gone already. He was foolish to believe he had a chance." Her words drew more laughter, but deep. Inside, she wondered if he had really fallen so quickly. A strange curiosity stirred in her heart, though she quickly hid it with another mocking smile. Meanwhile, Daniel faced his first true danger. A beast crawled from the shadows of the forest. Its body was long, its scales shining silver under the moon. Its jaw opened wide, rows of sharp teeth glistening with venom. The ground shook as it slithered toward him. He raised his blade, every muscle tense. The creature struck fast, its body whipping through the air. Daniel rolled aside, the fangs snapping. Where his chest had been, he thrust his blade into its side. But the beast only hissed and coiled tighter. It wrapped around him, crushing his ribs. His vision blurred. But he refused to let go, with all his strength. He drove the blade deeper into its neck. Hot blood spilled across his hands, and the creature shrieked before collapsing. Breathing hard, Daniel pushed the body away. His chest ached, his arms trembled. "But he had survived," he whispered. "This is only the beginning." His fire flickered weakly, the smoke curling upward into the alien night. He knew more beasts would come. He had only survived one. And there were countless more in the days ahead. The next morning, the land grew even harsher. The fog thickened, and the ground became sharp. With crystal-like rocks that cut his boots, he moved slower, every step leaving blood on the stones. Yet he did not turn back. His mind replayed the laughter of the alien girl. Her eyes filled with disbelief, and it drove him forward. By midday, a storm rolled over the mountains. The skies turned black. Lightning crackled in colors he had never seen before. Purple and green flashing across the clouds, rain poured down. Like acid, stinging his skin, burning small holes into his clothes. He screamed, but pressed on, covering his body as best as he could. The storm tested every part of him, trying to strip him of will. When the storm finally ended, Daniel stood, shaking, soaked and scarred, but alive. His skin burned, His pack was half ruined. Yet he lifted his head above the horizon. He saw shapes of dark peaks, the direction of the Valley of Shadows. The journey was far from over. But he had survived his first trial. Back in the city, the alien girl heard whispers. Some merchants said the human was still alive, still walking. Her friends laughed at the idea, saying it was impossible, but she grew quiet for a moment, staring at the horizon where he had gone. If he lives, he is a fool, she told herself. But if he returns, what then? She shook her head, refusing to let the thought linger. Daniel marched on, every step heavier than the last. His body was wounded, his supplies dwindling. And yet his spirit burned brighter than before. The land wanted to break him, but he would not let it. He whispered again, "I will find it." The rarest flower was waiting, and he would not stop until it was in his hands. The wilderness had shown its teeth, and still he walked forward. The true dangers were only beginning. The days grew longer as Daniel walked deeper into the unknown land. The alien wilderness seemed endless, filled with twisting forests, glowing rivers, and mountains sharp as blades. Every step felt like entering another world, one more dangerous than the last. Yet Daniel did not stop. His body was bruised, his skin burned from the storm, but his spirit remained strong. At night, the strange cries of unseen creatures echoed across the valleys. Shadows moved between the trees, watching. Waiting, he could feel eyes on him, but whenever he turned, there was nothing. The land itself seemed alive, as if it wanted to break the courage inside him. On the third night, hunger clawed at his stomach. His supplies had almost run out. He searched the land for food, finding fruits that glowed softly under the alien stars. They looked tempting. There, skins shining like jewels. But he remembered the burning water of the stream and did not trust them. Instead, he hunted, crafting a crude spear from wood and stone. Hours later, he caught a small creature with wings like glass and a body that shimmered in blue light. It screeched as he killed it, the sound echoing far into the night. He roasted the meat carefully, praying it would not poison him. The taste was bitter, but it filled his stomach enough to give him strength to walk again. The land tested him more with every passing hour. Poisonous plants released gas that burned his lungs, forcing him to cover his face with cloth. Rivers of black liquid hissed as they touched stone, burning holes into the ground. Even the air was strange, sometimes heavy, sometimes thin, making it hard to breathe. It was as if the Valley of Shadows protected itself, guarding its secret with layers of death. Yet Daniel pressed forward, remembering the mocking voice of the alien girl, remembering her smile that promised nothing but disbelief, her laughter carried in his mind. But instead of pain, it gave him power. He whispered to himself, "She thinks I will die, but I will live. I will return with the flower." One afternoon, he came across ancient carvings on the side of a cliff. The symbols were strange, glowing faintly as if alive. They told a story. Pictures of figures kneeling before a shining bloom. The rarest flower, guardian, stood carved around it. Monstrous shapes with eyes like fire. Daniel touched the stone, feeling a chill run through his skin. It was proof that the flower was real. He was walking the right path, but proof also meant danger. If these carvings warned of guardians, then he would face trials greater than anything. Yet, he clenched his fists, feeling both fear and determination rise in his chest. That night, the danger came sooner than expected. As he built a fire near the cliff, the ground trembled. Rocks slid loose, and from the shadows emerged creatures unlike anything he had seen. Their bodies were thin but long, their mouths splitting open into 4 jaws filled with teeth. They circled him slowly, their glowing eyes fixed on the firelight. Daniel held his blade tightly, his heart racing. The first creature leaped forward, But he dodged, driving his blade into its chest. The others hissed, moving faster. He fought with all his strength. Each strike fueled by willpower. The battle lasted long, his body bleeding from scratches and cuts. Finally, when the last creature fell, the ground grew quiet again. His chest heaved, sweat pouring down, but he was alive. He sat in silence. Staring at the dead creatures, his strength was fading. But his will had never burned brighter. The wilderness had tried again to break him. And again he stood victorious. He whispered to the night, "You will not stop me," back in the alien city. The girl laughed with her friends, but her laughter was not as strong as before. She asked quietly if anyone had heard news. One trader claimed he saw smoke far in the distance, perhaps from a fire. Her friends laughed at the thought, saying it must be the storm or some wandering beast. But her heart beat faster. She wondered, against her will, if the human was still alive. Daniel walked on the next morning, his body weak but his mind sharp. He followed the carvings, using them as guides through the dangerous land. Days passed, filled with struggle. But every trial made him stronger. He began to move with the land, instead of against it, reading its signs, watching its patterns. One evening, as the sun set in strange colors of green and gold, Daniel reached a ridge that looked down into a vast canyon. Deep below, glowing mists rose from the ground. And in the far distance, he saw a faint shimmer, like a star resting on the earth. His heart pounded. Could it be the flower? The rarest bloom whispered in legend, but the path was not clear. The canyon was filled with dangers unseen, the mists hiding what lurked below. His journey had only reached a harder chapter. The trials of the unknown land were not finished. They were only growing darker. Still, Daniel tightened his grip on his blade. He whispered again, "I will not stop. I will not fail." The shimmer far away seemed to call him forward, a promise of victory or death, and he chose to walk toward it. Daniel stood at the edge of the canyon, the mist below rising like a living wall. The faint shimmer deep inside gave him hope, but it also filled him with fear. Somewhere down there lay the path to the rarest flower, but he knew the land would never let him pass easily. As he searched for a way down, a sudden cry echoed through the canyon. It was sharp, high, and filled with pain. Daniel froze, his eyes scanning the fog. For a moment, he thought it was a trick of the land. But the cry came again, softer now. Weaker, his human heart refused to ignore it. He began to climb carefully into the canyon. Following the sound, the rocks were slippery and sharp, cutting into his hands as he descended. At last he reached a small ledge, and there he saw it, a creature. Smaller than the others he had fought, lay trapped beneath fallen stones. Its wings shimmered with soft light, broken and twisted. Its eyes, large and round, looked at him not with rage but with fear. Daniel hesitated. His blade was in his hand, ready to strike. But something stopped him. The creature was helpless, not an enemy, but a victim. Slowly, he pushed the stones aside. The little being screeched in pain, but it did not attack. When it was free, it crawled weakly, then looked up at him. For a moment, their eyes met. Human and alien, and something unspoken passed between them. Daniel stepped back, expecting it to flee, but instead, the creature stayed, limping toward him. It sniffed the air around him, then gave a strange clicking sound, almost like thanks. Daniel shook his head in disbelief. "I cannot believe this," he whispered. But inside, he felt less alone. From that moment, the creature followed him. It was small, but fast, able to sense dangers before they came. When shadows moved in the mist, the creature's wings would flare softly, warning him when poisonous plants hissed nearby. It would screech and pull him away. Alone, Daniel had survived by strength. But with this ally, he now had guidance. Days passed as they moved deeper into the canyon. The ground was dangerous, sometimes collapsing without warning. The air grew heavier, burning his lungs, but the little creature guided him through, leading him to safe paths. Daniel began to trust it, even speaking to it, though it could not understand. "If she could see me now," he muttered. Thinking of the alien girl, she would laugh. "But I am not alone anymore, back in the alien city." The girl was indeed laughing. She told her friends, "The human is long gone, eaten or turned to dust. He will never return." But her laughter sounded hollow for some reason. She could not shake the thought of him. She found herself looking at the horizon more often. Her heart restless, though she did not admit it. In the canyon, Daniel faced his next great enemy. One night, as he rested against a stone, a deep growl filled the air. The ground shook, and from the mist rose a giant beast. Its body was covered in stone-like scales, its head crowned with horns. Its eyes glowed red, burning through the fog. The creature was a guardian of the canyon, and it had found him. The little ally screeched loudly. Flaring its wings, Daniel stood with his blade, his body already trembling from exhaustion. The beast roared, charging forward with the force of a falling mountain. Daniel rolled aside, the ground cracking where the beast struck. He slashed with his blade, sparks flying as metal met stone. The battle was desperate. The creature was too strong, each strike shaking his bones. His blade chipped against its scales. His strength was fading fast. Then the little ally flew at the beast's face, screeching and clawing at its glowing eyes. The guardian roared, thrashing wildly, and in that moment, Daniel saw his chance. With every ounce of strength left, he leaped forward. Driving his blade deep between the beast's neck plates, the guardian shrieked, the sound shaking the canyon walls. Then it collapsed with a thunderous crash. Daniel fell to his knees, gasping for breath. His arms shook, his body weak, but he was alive. He looked at the little creature who landed beside him, wings torn but glowing faintly. He gave a tired smile. "You saved me," he whispered. The creature clicked softly, as if answering him. They were no longer strangers, but allies bound by survival. As the mist cleared a little, Daniel saw the path forward. Leading deeper into the valley, the shimmer of the flower was still far away. But closer than before, he stood slowly, his blade cracked, his body bleeding, yet his spirit stronger than ever. Back in the city, the alien girl heard whispers again. A hunter claimed he had seen strange smoke rising from the canyons. Another said he saw shadows moving in the distance. Her friends laughed at the stories, but she grew quiet, staring into the distance. For the first time, she felt uneasy. A question burned in her heart: what if the human truly survived? Daniel walked on with his new ally at his side. The land had given him enemies and nearly taken his life. But it had also given him a companion. Together, they stepped forward into the unknown, toward the final trials, toward the flower that waited in the shadows. The journey was far from over, and greater dangers were yet to come. The valley stretched before Daniel like the mouth of a giant beast. The mist swirled thick and heavy, curling around twisted rocks and broken cliffs. Far in the distance, beyond layers of fog, a faint glow pulsed like a heartbeat. He knew it was the sign of the rarest flower, the bloom whispered about an alien legends, the very prize the alien girl had mocked him for chasing. His body was weak, his wounds stung, and his blade was cracked. Yet his spirit had only grown stronger beside him. The small winged creature limped along, its loyalty unbroken. Daniel looked down at it and whispered, "We are close, my friend." Closer than ever, the creature clicked softly, its wings glowing faintly in the shadows. The path into the valley was steep, forcing Daniel to climb carefully across sharp rocks. Strange lights flickered in the mist, sometimes vanishing when he approached, sometimes following from afar. He felt as if unseen eyes were watching him, waiting for him to fail. But he did not turn back. Each step carried him deeper into danger, but also closer to his goal. As night fell, the valley grew colder. His breath rose in white clouds, and the silence became unbearable. Only the crunch of his boots and the faint sounds of the creature beside him filled the air. He felt the weight of the alien girl's words in his mind, her mocking laughter, her cruel challenge. He remembered the crowd that doubted him, the faces that called him weak, and that memory gave him fire. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Stones rattled loose from the cliffs above, the mist parted, and the air grew heavy as if the land itself was holding its breath. Daniel tightened his grip on his blade. His ally screeched, its wings flaring brightly, warning him. Then from the darkness, it appeared, the guardian of the flower. It was massive, larger than any beast Daniel had faced. Its body was shaped like both beast and shadow, its scales black as stone, its eyes burned like molten fire, and from its back rose jagged spines that glowed faintly red. Every step it took shook the ground. Every breath came out as smoke and ash. The air reeked of death and old blood. Daniel's heart pounded. He knew this was the final trial. This was the creature that kept all others from reaching the flower. His cracked blade felt like a toy in his hand compared to this monster. But turning back was no longer possible. The beast roared, a sound so loud it shook the cliffs. The echo rolled across the valley like thunder. The little creature beside Daniel screeched and flew upward. Circling the monster to distract it, Daniel ran forward, his body aching, his blade raised. The guardian struck first, swinging its massive tail. Daniel barely leaped aside as the ground shattered behind him. Dust and stone filled the air. He slashed at the beast's leg, sparks flying as metal met scale. The blade cut only shallowly, the wound too small to slow it. The guardian roared and struck again, claws raking the earth. The battle raged across the valley floor. Daniel dodged, rolled, and struck wherever he could. His body screamed in pain, his arms heavy with exhaustion. The little ally darted around the monster's head, clawing at its glowing eyes. The beast thrashed, snapping at it, giving Daniel brief chances to attack. Each strike chipped his blade further, but he did not stop. Finally, the guardian caught him with its tail. The blow sent him flying across the ground. His chest burned, his vision blurred. He coughed blood, but forced himself to stand. His knees trembled, yet his spirit refused to bend. He raised his cracked blade once more, whispering, "I cannot fail." The creature charged, jaws wide. Daniel waited, every muscle shaking. At the last second, he threw himself forward, sliding beneath its body. His blade struck deep into the soft flesh under its throat. The guardian shrieked, its roar splitting the sky. It stumbled, thrashing wildly, smashing rocks apart. Daniel pulled his blade free and struck again, over and over, until the beast collapsed. Shaking the valley with its fall, smoke rose from its wounds, and the glow in its eyes faded. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by Daniel's ragged breaths. He fell to his knees, his strength gone. His ally landed beside him, its wings dim but still glowing faintly. Daniel placed a bloody hand on its back and whispered, "We did it." When the mist cleared, he saw it at last, rising from the center of the valley like a jewel of the world, the rarest flower. Its petals shimmered with colors beyond human words, glowing softly like captured starlight. The air around it was alive with power, and Daniel felt his heart race. This was what he had fought for. It's what he had nearly died for. He stood slowly, every bone aching, his eyes locked on the bloom. He whispered, "She mocked me, but I will return with this. I will show them all what a human can do." His voice was filled with quiet triumph. The trial was over, but the journey was not. Now he had to take the flower and survive the way back. And he knew the land would not let him leave so easily. The valley was quiet after the fall of the guardian. Smoke drifted from the creature's body, and the ground was cracked from the battle. Daniel stood weak and trembling, his blade broken. In half, his hands were bloody, his chest burned with pain, but his eyes never left the glow ahead. There, rising from the center of the valley, stood the flower. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its petals shimmered with a light that shifted between colors. First gold, then silver, then deep blue. It glowed softly as if it carried. The stars within, the air around it felt alive, warm yet heavy. As though the flower itself breathed, Daniel staggered forward. Each step a battle of its own. The little winged creature limped beside him. Clicking softly, its wings glowed faintly, reflecting the light of the bloom. Together, they approached the center where the flower stood. The closer Daniel came, the more he felt its power. His heart pounded. His skin tingled, and his mind filled with whispers, voices he could not understand. Echoed faintly, as if the flower carried the memories of those who had died searching for it. For a moment, fear touched him, but he forced it aside. He whispered, "I came this far, I cannot turn back now." He reached the bloom and knelt before it. The petals swayed gently, though there was no wind. It was fragile, yet strong, beautiful, yet dangerous. He knew one careless touch could destroy it, or even kill him. With trembling hands, he wrapped cloth around the stem, protecting it before cutting it free. The moment he held the flower, the valley seemed to breathe. The mist stirred violently. The air shook with low rumbles. It was as if the land itself knew its treasure had been taken. Daniel pressed the bloom close to his chest. Shielding it with his body, his ally screeched nervously, sensing danger in the shifting air. The ground trembled beneath him, stones fell from the cliffs, and shadows twisted in the mist. Shapes moved in the distance, dozens of them. Creatures drawn to the power of the flower. Daniel's jaw tightened. He had won the flower. But now he had to escape with it. The journey back was already proving harder. The valley that had seemed deadly before now felt alive with rage. Every shadow became an enemy. Every sound was a warning. Strange beasts followed him from the mist, but his little companion's screeches warned him in time. Together, they slipped through cracks, climbed across shattered ridges, and ran from growls that echoed in the dark. Each night, Daniel guarded the flower as though it were a living child. He wrapped it in cloth, careful never to crush it. But its glow still leaked through, attracting dangers. Sometimes he wondered if he would die protecting it. Yet the thought of returning empty-handed was worse. He remembered the alien girl's mocking face, her cruel smile, and the crowd's laughter. That memory gave him strength. The little ally grew weaker each day. Its wings were torn, its body scarred from the battles. Yet it never left his side. Daniel began to feed it pieces of what little food he found, sharing even when his own stomach ached with hunger. "We started this together," he whispered to it one night, "and we will finish it together." The creature clicked faintly, resting its glowing wings against his chest. On the seventh day after claiming the bloom, Daniel reached the edge of the canyon. He looked back once, seeing the mist swirl angrily behind him. The valley seemed alive, its whispers louder than before, as if vowing that no one should leave with its treasure. Daniel clenched the flower tighter, whispering, "You will not take this from me." Then he began the climb upward. The ascent was brutal. His arms shook, his legs felt like stone, but he kept going. The flower weighed little in his hands, but its responsibility pressed heavy on his heart. At last, he pulled himself onto the ridge. Collapsing to the ground, he lay there, gasping, the night sky above filled with alien stars. His companion curled beside him. both too tired to move. Back in the city, whispers spread like fire. Some scouts claimed they had seen strange lights in the valley. Others spoke of the ground shaking as if something had been disturbed. The alien girl pretended to laugh with her friends, but her mind was restless. She found herself standing alone at night. Staring toward the dark mountains, she told herself it was only curiosity. But her heart beat faster every time she imagined the human returning. Daniel rose again at dawn, his body broken, but his spirit unshaken. With the flower held close, he began the long walk back to the city. He knew the path would not be easy. The land still hunted him, and dangers waited at every step. But he also knew he had something no one else had ever taken, the rarest flower of the alien world. A bloom worth more than life itself. The final part of his journey had begun, and there was no turning back. The alien city was alive with its usual brightness. Towers glowing under the strange skies, merchants shouted in the markets, children played along the glowing streets, and laughter filled the air among the noise. No one expected to see the human again. They had forgotten his face, written his name as dust, and believed his bones already lay in the valley of shadows. The alien girl stood among her friends in the market square. Her sharp eyes scanned the crowd with boredom. She remembered her mocking words, the challenge she had given, and the laughter that had followed. The human will never return, she had told them. She had repeated it so many times that she almost believed it. Yet sometimes, late at night, she found herself staring at the horizon, asking herself, what if? That morning, a sound of murmurs spread across the square. People turned their heads, their voices rising in surprise. The girl frowned and looked toward the gates of the city. Her heart skipped a beat, for there, walking slowly but firmly, was the human. Daniel stepped through the gates, his clothes torn, his body scarred. His face was tired but steady. His broken blade hung at his side, and in his arms, wrapped carefully in cloth, he carried a glow. The crowd gasped as the light leaked through the fabric. Shimmering like a star, the alien girl's eyes widened. Her mocking smile vanished. She took a step forward without meaning to. Her voice caught in her throat as she whispered, "No, it cannot be." Daniel walked into the square, every step heavy but unshaken. The crowd parted before him, their laughter gone, replaced by silence. All eyes were on the bundle in his arms. He stopped in the center, looked at the girl who had mocked him, and slowly unwrapped the cloth. The flower bloomed in his hands, shining brighter than the suns above. Its petals shifted colors, gold, silver, deep blue, glowing as if alive. The air filled with its warmth, and the silence broke into gasps. No one had ever seen it before, not even the oldest among them. Legends had spoken of it, but only as myth. Yet here it was, held by the human they had called weak. The girl's face turned pale. Her lips parted, but no words came. She remembered her own challenge, her own mocking voice. "If you bring it back, I will be yours," she had said with laughter. Now those words burned in her chest. She had never believed he could do it. She had never believed any being could. Daniel's eyes met hers. They did not carry anger or revenge, but quiet strength. He raised the flower higher for all to see, and his voice carried through the square. "You mocked me. You doubted me. You thought a human was weak. But I have walked the valley of shadows. I have faced the guardians, and I have returned with this." The crowd erupted in noise, some gasping, some cheering, some whispering in disbelief for the first time. The aliens looked at the human not with laughter, but with respect. The girl stepped forward, her pride broken. Her voice trembled as she spoke. You truly did it." Her glowing eyes softened, filled with something she could not name. For the first time, she bowed her head to him. Daniel lowered the flower, his strength nearly gone. His little ally rested weakly on his shoulder. Wings still glowing faintly, He looked at the girl, then at the crowd, and he whispered, "I did not do this to own anyone. I did this to prove that humans are not weak. We can rise, we can endure, and we can achieve what no one believes." The words struck deep into the hearts of the crowd. For a moment, the market square was silent again. Then slowly, the silence turned to cheers. The aliens raised their hands, voices shouting his name. Not as a mockery, but as honor. The alien girl felt her heart race, her pride shattered, her laughter gone. She looked at the human with new eyes, not as a fool, not as prey, but as something more. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "Perhaps I was wrong." Daniel stood tall, though his body was broken. The flower glowed in his hands, the proof of his journey, the proof of human will. He had walked through death and returned, and in that moment, under the alien skies, he was no longer an outsider. He was a legend.